I have a treat for you, my friends. So this game comes with several other zines that go along with it. So let's take a look at what Tuesday Night Games calls a violent incursion into the land of the living for the Mothership Sci-Fi horror role-playing game. Let's take a look at Dead Planet. So here's Dead Planet. Look. So take a look as we flip through this, and we're gonna go through this a little bit more quickly because I believe that this is more like an adventure. But take a look at font choice. Like, look at how 70s that Dead Planet font is. Take a look at font choice. Take a look at color. Right, almost everything in this book is red and black. Take a look at layout and look at how it's both different and similar to the original game's like stuff. Right. So Dead Planet is a module. It is essentially a module that it's not meant to be presented as you begin at one end and you get out the other and there are specific things. Dead Planet basically says there's a planet out there in the universe. It has a dark and brooding energy that sucks ships out of hyperspace and strands them. How do you get away? How do you survive the dead planet, right? You get slurped out of hyperspace, and that's what this is. That's what this is about, right? It's great. It gives you a premise, it gives you a location, and it gives you a bunch of shit that happens in that location. It also gives you somewhat of a history, and it gives you some options, right? Now, I'm not gonna dig too deeply into it because I don't want to spoil the whole thing for everybody. But yeah, look at how much like this adventure, if you look at it aesthetically, feels very strongly like goth industrial. There is kind of a like blood dripping through a rusted catwalk. It's kind of like space Silent Hill. And you'll notice, as with a lot of OSR style adventures, it's got a ton of tables, right? 1d10. I search the body on the Alexis. ... Here's what we find, right? The art is gonna support all of that stuff. Yeah, a little Dead Space feels, but yeah, like just the presentation of it, right? Look. It's so good. And like some things are meant aesthetically for us. Others, this would be like a diagram you would find on the station itself, right? So here's our map. Massive, massive tables of like what you would find in various parts of the ship. Like you could find dolls in macabre tableau. Right, pretty good stuff. And I love that, right? Like there are dozens, if not hundreds of derelict craft floating in orbit around the dead planet, right? So here's how to generate the various stuff that's on those ships. So like what kind of ship is it? Is it uninhabitable, habitable, or not? Are there survivors on the ship? What is the ship's core like? Right? What can you salvage? And then what's ruined and what's weird, right? So those are all floating around this dead planet. So this is the thing I wanted to talk about. Derelict ship mapping. So this is so cool. So you start with one command module and one thruster. Other than that, go to town. So basically on the ship, you roll a number of D6s when you construct it. Some are big enough to have more than one level, as outlined below. So if you're building a colony ship, it's 3 levels. You roll 20 D6 or more, and then lay them out, and then draw ducts and stuff between them. Isn't that cool? 3d10 ship name generator. Somebody give me 3 numbers between 1 and 10. Give me some numbers. We'll randomly name a ship. 44 is not a number between 1 and 10. There we go. All right. I got one. Leland Grant, you're the captain of 759. All right, Leland Grant, the Winter Labilus Bravo. Winter Labilus Bravo. But I love these, like Valifor, Ophanim, Astaroth, Cherubim. Like some of these are like demon names or like choir names. That's pretty cool. The Marlowe Tyrant King. Anyway, pretty cool. Random generators. So you can randomly generate a name. You roll a bunch of D6s. You place them on the table to make a map. For each room, roll a D10. That'll tell you whether the room is trapped, has extra supplies, or there's a conflict or survivor on board. You know what this is? This derelict ship mapping? You know what this is, right? This is a dungeon generator. This is an automatic dungeon generator. Yeah, exactly. So you could do this if you're fast. If you're fast, you could do this as the players go from one room to another until they reach the mapping room, and then you could be like, boop, 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 here's the ship, right? Very cool. There's a D100 table for jump drive malfunctions. There is a weapon and supply cache page, right? Various things for finding these ships. This is so cool. Moon Colony Bloodbath, right? This is the moon of Dead Planet. Isn't this gorgeous? Ugh, the design of this game. And then why are there wrecker cannibals on the moon? What are these moon cannibals like? Minimum stress 4. Moon cannibals. What happens if the crew approaches this awful place? Voluntary amputation. Okay, so we're gonna pause for a second and I'm gonna show you this. Just look, this is how you do an adventure. Timeline of events that will happen if the PCs do nothing. Do this. This is how you make good adventures. Just do it. It's a countdown clock for the whole damn thing. Just do it. So if the PC, it's a front, right? It's a countdown clock. It's just perfect. Just do that. Because this way we know if the players do nothing, here is what happens, right? Here is a moon base. Again, font choice, right? Gorgeous. And then more random tables, right? A simple goat tender with his lips sliced off who debates the merits of amputating a hand contrasted with a foot. Moon cannibals. I want to run this adventure. Like, it's so creepy and awesome. So some information about these characters and what they want. Look again. Pay close attention, my friends. 3 simple statements about what an NPC desires. Stability, avoid needless risks, absolute singular unquestioned authority, right? That's all you need to run this NPC. And then random table. What are they up to right now? Are they wistfully admiring the goats? The whole thing is just, yeah, it's really well done, very nicely streamlined. It's an adventure in the sense, or a module in the sense of like, hey, here's a place. There's stuff going on. Now you're stuck here. What are you going to do? How do you get away? Great character art. You're going to see even more of this when we take a look at A Pound of Flesh. Massive pile of names, quirks, and items you could find in the vault. Some scary art. And then a nightmare table. Nightmare table. Nightmares prevent the healing and benefits of rest. Wardens make nightmare checks on after any traumatic event or in a day where a crew member made a panic check. Recurring nightmares. If you ever have the same nightmare again, you take 1d10 stress and it becomes your sole recurring nightmare over and over. If you're on the dead planet, you make nightmare checks every night. Pretty cool. So, a material, an evocation, a subject, and another subject for your dreams. There are 3 methods to generate a nightmarish gaunt sculpture. Oh, it's just so cool. Yeah. So basically, you have to build a sculpture to free yourself of a nightmare, right? You make a sculpture to free yourself, but then you end up with a sculpture garden of nightmares. Terrifying. So here are your nightmares, right? Let's get a nightmare for somebody. Mara, give me a D100. Give me a number between 1 and 100, and I will tell you your nightmare. And then I'll tell you, and then we'd have to roll on the table to figure out how to clear it. All right, 89. All right, so Mara, your nightmare is the conversation is charming, civil, courteous. The problem is they're holding your hand in acid. So you have a nightmare about somebody holding your hand in a vial of acid, and to quell that nightmare, you'll need to make a sculpture, maybe out of disassembled firearms. It will have to be a geometric sculpture on a theme of hopelessness. Your subject will have to be gnashing teeth and angelic faces. There you go. You're having a dream. Oh, okay. You're at a party. Oh, okay. You have a good friend there at the party, and you're talking to them, and they're holding your hand. Oh, that's nice. In acid. Oh, no. So if you go to the dead planet, here's another, this map, and let me see if I can show it to you in 2-page mode. No. So in this for this map, it looks like a scan you would get as you land on the planet, right? It's not. It's all external stuff. So this is a ship scanner style map, and this is like the landing site, and it's got a necropolis, monumental grim towers of bone. There's a swamp, an ancient quarry, and again, like the willingness to shift. The willingness to shift the graphic style of the book based on what they're trying to instill in the reader is just so good. Like, look at how different the necropolis is, just in terms of presentation, to the swamp and the quarry, right? It really sets it apart. So cool. The Dead Gateway. The last boss from Earthbound. Yeah, it's very much like magazine style, exactly, like where each section is an article, right? The Crash of the Defiance. I want to go here, I want to explore this, or I want to run a group through it, right? And this tells us what running a game of this is like, right? This is the kind of adventure, like it's setting us up to understand what Mothership wants its games to feel like. So in the absence of a Warden's Guide, you can look to this to say, okay, this is the kind of style of thing the game wants. So like if you are searching the Red Tower, you might encounter Gaunt Walkers who are nude except wearing a gas mask. That's how it works, right? Random weird things. And then we get a map of the Red Tower and the various floors. All right. And then the horrible monsters. The horrible monsters that live on this planet, such as alpha gaunts, death worms, gaunt crawlers, gaunt hounds, glow skulls, grabber trees, slime moths. And then, of course, body searching tables. Pretty cool as far as modules go. It teaches you a lot about one particular approach to the game. Now, let's take a look. Let's take a look at a completely different version of that same thing. So we're going to take a look at a Pound of Flesh. Now, when I was being shown this game, right, originally, I took a look at the core book, And I was like, wow, this looks really cool. Like, what a neat book. This is great. I'm going to go pick this up. And I was flipping through Dead Planet. I was like, wow, this looks really good. But when I got to A Pound of Flesh, I was like, well, cool. They just made this for me. It's just for me. Like, I don't know how they stole into my dreams and made me a book, but that's what happened. And, well, here we are. So this is A Pound of Flesh. This is for the Mothership Sci-Fi horror role-playing game. I think the impression that I get is that it's like a setting. By flipping through it, it's a setting book. But we're gonna take a closer look at it. But look at this amazing cover art, right? Again, the design, right? The choice of A Pound of Flesh. The places where it overlaps the art versus where the art overlaps it, the mix between the two, right? And then sooner or later, everybody pays. Font choice, it's got that Evangelion 79% compacted, what is that, Times New Roman? It's pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool. So this is a supplement for creating space stations. So we start on the inside cover with Prospero's Dream. So this is just a station. It gives you the little like rim of a station. I love the slice thing. So if you're in the outer rim, it takes you, an hour or so or whatever for every couple of slices, and then you get an encounter. But since this is so elegant, there's more encounters closer to the center of the station because it's less spread out, and so there are more people. So if you're walking around in the inside of the station, you're crossing these slices more often, and you're getting more encounters. I was gonna say you can't make this stuff up, but clearly these people can make this stuff up, and it's great. So I think that's such a clever little, like, it's a circular map, and as you go around the outside edge, it takes longer to have an encounter. Get out of here. So elegant. So another example of the space station. This is kind of our opening our opening art. And then Prospero's Dream as a station. So this is the setting part that tells us this is a place, right? This book is like a city book, essentially, for this game. It's to say, here is a place where things happen. It might be a place where your characters stop for a while. Maybe they live there. Whatever. I think it's cute that down at the bottom that the game notes. Hold on. Please write all over this book. It's yours, and it's cheap for a reason. I think that's cute that we have permission to scribble all over this. So, this isn't a typical module. You don't beat it. If your players want, they don't have to interact with anything. You can just stop in or make the dream their home base and then go. If you're doing a one-shot, here's some advice, right, on what works for pick up and play, right? Running content, major NPCs, life support, and the burrows can be used as standalones. The Tempest Company mission table is good for one shots. You could start with the space station falling apart, and then you have to flee. But if you're doing a long-term game, here's some like interesting stuff you can do. You can join a criminal organization. You can protect your future with a backup sleeve. Like, it's just basically walks you through, like, why would you do this? Why would you come here? What is the point? This is nice. These little notes are so cute. In a campaign, make them fall in love with the dream. In a one-shot, make them hate it. Yes. Give me more shit like this, role-playing games. That's great. That's such good advice and such a nice way to think about it early on in the book, right? Page 5. So here's some stuff that's going on in Prospero's Dreams. They've got 3 storylines you can engage with or ignore. You might call these, I don't know, fronts, perhaps. So there's a Teamster strike, there's unrest in the choke, and there's an outbreak of ACMD, that is happening on the ship. Each of those things will progress through 3 phases with a couple events in each phase. Current events, seeds for players, session fodder, and then, I mean, okay, yes, ignored entirely. You don't need this book. Great, but I know. I bought it though. So it's the module is a tinderbox, right? Not a roadmap. The idea is that it gives you a bunch of like high danger things that could occur, but that they don't have to, right? And so you can kind of have like, maybe we're just going to focus on the Teamster strike, or maybe we're going to do unrest in the choke and the outbreak, but yeah, we can mix and match them. So here are the different phases for each event. I'm going to skip going into detail on that, but I want to take a minute again to look at how NPCs are presented in this game, right? All you really need mechanically is from here up. You need to know that Yandy has 4 hits, a laser pistol, and who they are, right? But then there's more information down below, like a little background about them, some stuff that they need you to do, and then what part of the game, like tying them to fronts, right? That's really cool. So if you're in phase 1 of the strike, Yandy might pay you to assassinate the head of the syndicate. But if you're in phase 1 of the strike, you might also get paid by Angus, right, the sysadmin, to locate the Stratemeyer syndicate. Right? I love it. Yandy, Reimar, Angus, Brunhild, Cutter, and Uko. Look at this art. It's so cool. Very heavy metal. Yeah, I really like it. And again, what is the purpose of an NPC in the game, right? They're doing things and they want stuff. NPCs that want things mean player action and player adversity. Because if you act, and I bet you, I'm not going to go into too much detail. Actually, here's a perfect example. During Unrest 2, Cutter, the commander of the Tempest Company, Cutter wants you to arrest Uko, right? Or Uka. But during Unrest 2, Uko needs to be smuggled off the Dream before the Tempest Company will kill them. So you have these oppositional NPCs creating those triangles, right? And then we get into various locations presented within the ship. And again, these little notes at the bottom that give us detailed information. Now, of course, you got to go to the bar, right? Sem's Bar, the Stellar Burn. Yeah, Sem's Bar. Just gorgeous art, though. Little menu down here. The Chop Shop. Some new cyber mods. So this is a thing that I think that is really cool. It's really cool to see, the OSR does this all the time, where the core rules of the game is everything that's like basic and like necessary, and then additional modules give you rules for things that are specific to that module, but that you can use elsewhere. So cyber mods, right? Cyberware and slickware. These are in this specific adventure, right? They're in Pound of Flesh, but you can use them in any other circumstance, right? And again, random tables are setting. Pretty cool. So this is the synthetic sleeving facility, the ice box. And again, more things you can do. There's the farm. Again, presented in this like a beautiful, beautiful way. Little tiny bits of setting material down here, right? I see your light and I yours. A greeting between two people in the... And then, again, like more great maps. There's what was the name of that? The Lighthouse? It was in Star Drive, the Alternity campaign setting. I just always think about that book when I think about space stations. Obviously, this is much more flavorful, much less generic, but it's pretty cool. I like setting material in that this is the kind of setting material I like, where it's not just like, here's a town, there is a shopkeeper. The shopkeeper has 400 gold, 300 silver, and 100 copper. Next to that shopkeeper, there is a blacksmith, and the blacksmith has 14 swords. One of them is a masterwork sword. In this, it's like, here's some characters, they want things, there's chaos going on, the town is already on fire, you're gonna show up and you're gonna have to decide how to juggle all of this stuff. Like, what part of that do you wanna invest in? Letting the players make their own decisions about the ongoing situation is pretty damn cool. Yeah. Right. So the game continues to detail in just the most beautiful way a bunch of sections of the space station, along with the various horrific sci-fi horror shit that happens to live on this station. Look at this map. I can't get over how beautiful this game is. And I keep coming back to that feeling of like, it's clear that the people who made this have a pretty good handle on what design is, and they have a clear aesthetic priority, whether you agree with it or not, whether you like hot pink in your role-playing game designs. It's clear that they know what they're doing, and I really like that. Tons and tons of toolkits. If you need to generate a space station for yourself, there is a Mad Libs table. Look, a Mad Libs table. Azrael's Crown is a palatial estate orbiting a white dwarf star. It's run by a decorated regional governor backed by the Principality of Christian the 12th. Docking costs 500 credits, and a cheap room is 200 credits a night. There's a 5% chance the station is currently undergoing a hostage situation. Otherwise, everything is fine. You can buy supplies and fuels as normal, though at a hefty markup of 200%. They also buy... Let's see, what goods do they buy? Oh, goods table is in the core book, right? I can just pull that one. They also buy ammunition at 80% off for local free traders. Have a line on where to find space gold. And that's it. Now you have another setting. Easy. Done. You want a structure? Pick one or roll. What do space stations even look like? Here's some options. Oh my God. Send us the space stations you create. We'd love to share them. That's pretty cool. This is the kind of map I can get behind. So I was looking at this and I was like, man, these are cool, but I can't draw space stations, but I can do this. So you roll a d10 to determine how many noteworthy establishments it has and how are they connected. You start with 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, and then you cluster. Oh, that's so neat. And then again, here are all of your tables for the various kinds of things that this space station has. Right, here's an example, Control 55. And then cybernetic mutations and random search tables. Pretty cool, Mothership. Pretty cool. So we have one more thing we want to look at. One more book. And this one is a Mothership RPG fanzine. This is issue number 1 of Hive Mind. Now, Hive Mind, the art in this, everything about Hive Mind reads to me heavy metal zine, like fanzine, like someone drawing in the margins of their school notebook to create, well, you'll see. So this is Hive Mind. I love this art. It's great. So Hive Mind is the least sort of fancy. It's the least sort of fancy because it's mostly text and art. It's printed on like newsprint, the physical version. It's really cute, and I will read you from the back. Ray Burtnell's here. When I'm not piloting my crew around black holes and into deep space, I like to sit back, relax, and read the latest copy of Hive Mind. Filled with facts, heaped with hearsay, and inundated with innuendo, Hive Mind is the who's who of space crews. Often replicated, never duplicated, Hive Mind is a cornucopia of the cosmos. I love it so much, I keep it in a place of honor, near the head. So you can buy a copy of this and keep it by your space toilet so that you can randomly generate all kinds of stuff like mutants. So Hive Mind issue 1 is put together by the members of the Mothership Discord server and then compiled by Dan D. All the art is by Evelyn Monroe. And this was the Gen Con printing. I'm excited to take a look. So D10 alternative classes. You want to be a void monk? You want to be a witness? You want to be a field biologist? You want to be a bounty hunter? You want to be a void urchin? There you go. 10 brand new classes for the game. First page. Hypercorp Black projects. D10 random holidays. Ships docked at the edge of charted space. Contraband items. Odd job that pay in warp cores. Geometry neutral mundane spaceship chase events. Awkward situations you can find yourself in when the gravity turns off. 1d10 mild inconveniences. Sliding doors slide apart too slowly. +1 stress. Come on, open the fucking door. New crew member won't stop making cockpit jokes. Somebody turned on safe mode on the ship computer. These are really good. D10 vendor NPCs. Space pets, space drugs. If you take too much, you turn into this. Customized firearms. D10, we really need to improvise some weapons. Trinkets. Places on the dead planet's moon. Additional surfaces of the dead planet. Right? This is my favorite table, maybe in any role-playing game I've ever seen. I think we rolled on this before. D10, what is this mysterious ooze? Boneless Sphinx 5 luxury cats. They've escaped their cages. So what's wrong with the android? Various spaceship pets, pests. Like, it's just so cool. This kind of stuff, because that's the thing, right? When you aren't sure what comes next in a role-playing game, you can either wing it based on your own barfing forth apocalyptica, or you can grab a random table and you can no longer answer the question, but answer the question related to the question, right? So like, okay, if somebody walks into an ancient temple on an alien planet and they say, what kind of god did they worship here? You can either say, okay, let me answer your question. They worshipped Korglach, the god of sharp edges. So everything in this temple is cut at like a 90-degree or tighter edge. It's all sharpness in here. Korglach loves the blade, right? I have that in my notes, or I just came up with that myself. Or if I know where to find the table for it, I can roll and I can be like, boop, here we go. They worship this god who is a god of this thing and requires this kind of sacrifice. Yeah. I love it. I love it. Company bureaucrats, Teamsters for hire, spacer tattoos freighted with meaning. Tragic disasters with lingering influence. Getting shot in the face with a flare gun. 10 reasons to quarantine a dear friend. Because you can't control the hunger anymore. They're safer hidden from you. Or maybe they're a clone. Spacer superstitions, cryptic graffiti on the bulkhead. And then there's all of our tables. So I guess my assumption, given that this is issue numero uno, that we will be given further issues for this. And honestly, this is the kind of game where I could imagine playing using just the core rules and then essentially at the end of a campaign having your own zine worth of material. You know, like that's a thing that I think that is really cool about like OSR games or games with this kind of DIY aesthetic in general. It's that you can, if you want to, build your own stuff. I can't wait to get my hands on the guide for the Warden. I really, really want to read what the game's designers have in mind for that. But I can kind of imagine, based on Pound of Flesh and Dead Planet, what they might be thinking about and what they want. I really think that this game fits into a nice niche for me. You can obviously see some places where it's like a slightly more horrific, slightly less psychedelic Womb of Night, right? Like definitely there's some inspiration for me there. I love space horror. I love that kind of like DIY heavy metal aesthetic. I think that all of that stuff is very, very strong recommendations for playing this game. I'm not totally sure how the mechanisms of the game work. They seem very simplistic, which is cool. That's very much obviously by design. But I would be curious to see how it runs. So if anybody knows of any actual play, like podcasts or live plays that are happening on YouTube or Twitch, hit me up or leave a comment. Let me know, because I'd love to take a look at them. Obviously, if you're interested in the game, go to their website, which I believe is Mothership RPG. Let me just double check. Yes. TuesdayNightGames.com/mothership is a place you can go and pick up the PDFs or the print versions of the game. I would say if you're waffling and the shipping makes sense for you budget-wise, definitely get the physical versions of the game. I don't play games at the table anymore, really, but I had to have these. I coveted them. I walked over to their booth the last day of Gen Con and I said, for the love of Christ, tell me you have more copies. And I grabbed one of the last bundles. So I'm really happy to have a copy of this. I would say get your hands on the physical copy if you can. They're really good. They're super worth having. Otherwise, the PDFs are all available, I think, on itch.io, but go through their website and check it out. If you like space horror, if you like games that leave you room to kind of make your own stuff within them. And as you can see from the content created on the Discord, you can fit 10 new classes on a page. So if there's something in Mothership that's missing, definitely go and check it out. So yeah, that's the Mothership RPG, sci-fi horror, zine RPG. We took a look at the like alpha version of the core rules. Obviously there's more stuff coming. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on this. I'd love to play this game. It's on my list alongside several other games. And it's really cool to compare and contrast how this game does sci-fi horror versus something like, for example, the Alien RPG that we took a look at before. So I hope you enjoyed this first look at the Mothership RPG. I hope you will check it out for yourself. Go and follow them on Twitter, jump on their Discord, let them know what you thought of the game, and let them know Adam Coble sent you. Thanks for coming, everybody. This has been a first look at the Mothership role-playing game. I will see you next time. Don't get mutated.